Welcome to Real Chat,
the podcast where we, Annie and Chad, discuss real shit
loosely related to the real estate industry.
Hello, Annie.
Hi, Chad.
How are you? Good. Welcome to episode 9.
No.
Yes.
10.
No. It's definitely 9. Definitely 9.
I wonder what number we're going to get to when you forget.
Episode 9. Were you trying to throw me off? Is
I
that what
was.
you
Just
were
to
doing?
see how confident you were, because I questioned it last week. It's what I do.
That door behind you, which nobody else can see, is open, and it's weird because it's different than
Do you want me to close
the usual. I think I do.
Do you think my cord will reach?
No.
I can't take my headset off.
Give me a second. I'll do it. All is right in the world now. I don't know why, but
I
I
can't
felt
see
like
it, so it wasn't bothering
I know,
me.
and there's nobody out there, but I felt very judged by
Did
the
you
door.
feel like somebody was going to come in?
Yeah, I think that's what it was, and then it's going to be awkward because I'm going to be like, "Don't know."
It's not a bravery thing. My husband has to face the door at a restaurant in case somebody comes in and shooting up the place or something.
Nope, don't have that
Okay.
at all. Don't care where I sit in a restaurant.
Remember that time that I scared you with the door? Can I tell that story?
I suppose so.
Okay, so
I startle very easily, so.
okay,
I'm not sure
I'm gonna
I
try
want the entire world to know
it
that.
is such
but
a good story. I'm going to try to tell it without laughing too much. In my entrepreneur endeavors, I used to run Cash for Gold kiosk, and so that has how Chad and I met. And Chad was working for me at the Cash for Gold, and we used to process the gold. And we were meeting. And am I telling way too much?
No, but I don't know why you're telling it in the third person. You're telling me the story like I'm not part of it.
I'm just telling the story. How do I tell it?
So we were processing the gold.
And we were sitting in the back room, locked behind a door so that we were secure. And it was a tiny room.
Right.
Tiny, like a table and 2 chairs.
Like a
and
2 foot by 4 foot table
like
and 2 chairs.
Basically a
and
closet.
I had to shimmy in.
So we decided to order some lunch. And this is like before DoorDash or whatever. Like they didn't leave it at the door.
Yes,
so,
we're that old. And we've been working together that long.
Oh, it's like 12 years ago. So we order Stefanina's but I had the studio door locked, and then we were all the way down a hallway through a room into this closet that was locked. So we're processing the gold, and we're talking, and we've got music playing, and we're doing that.
Mind you, my back is to the door to this room. That's what triggered this whole story.
That's the squirrel.
Right.
So we're sitting there, and we're singing, and because it's kind of boring to process the gold. It's just tedious, and we're doing that. And it dawns on me that I have locked the front door and that the delivery person is not going to be able to get us our lunch because we're not going to hear them. So I go, because I just dawned on me.
Now, wait a minute.
No, let me
You
tell you.
jumped
This is my story. This is
out
my
of the
story.
chair when you went, huh?
I did not. I probably did like that. Like I probably was like, and so because we have a lot of gold in front of us, we're already a little paranoid when we do it because it's a lot of money.
Anyways.
Chad's scared that we're now being robbed. And so because I jumped like that I wanted to say, I need to go unlock the front door. He's not going to be able to deliver our food. Well, Chad thinks that armed robbers have jumped in. Chad dives across the table. Not worried about my safety at all to get behind me.
Oh, yeah, no, that is not my jam. You're in a situation with me, and it's a last man standing. Don't be the slowest. That's all I got to say.
You don't have to outrun the bad guy. You just have to outrun Annie.
100%, or
That's
whoever
terrible.
I'm with. It's not even personal.
Yeah. Remember the time that we went down on...
You jumped.
Remember
for some fucking pizza.
It was toasted ravioli and salad.
Sheer panic in your face.
No,
because you were worried you weren't going to get your pizza.
Well, I don't like to miss a meal. So Anyway, it reminds me of one more story. Sorry, this must be like funny, Chad. I should be making videos of you being
I
startled.
think you've done that before, but
So I did do that once.
the time we were in Florida and the damn girl
that wasn't
scared
me.
the hell out of me.
I was just the filmer. I wasn't the executor. But remember, we were down in South St. Louis looking at property.
Oh my God.
And we were down on Delore, and I said, "Oh my gosh, let's go by my grandma's house. Like that's where I used to stay all the time, down there by the Bevo Mill."
Yeah, you just reminded me how crazy you are.
So we're down by the Bevo Mill, and I tell Chad to pull over, and I said, "I'm gonna go knock on the door and see if they'll go let me look like around in the backyard," because it was my childhood. And Chad, sitting in the car with his gun,
I said, I'm just going to wait.
and he said, "If somebody comes out to shoot
I'm
you,
leaving ya."
I'm leaving."
Okay, just for the record, you left out half of that story.
I don't remember.
I was perfectly fine sitting in the car. You were going to go knock on the door and see if you could walk through it, which you did, and nobody answered. So then you proceed to come off the steps and pretend like you're going to get back in my truck and we're going to leave. And instead, you come up to my window and go, "I'm just going to go in the backyard." Mind you, it's fenced. So you go climb over the fence to look
I
in the
did
backyard.
not
I'm
climb
like,
over a
no,
fence.
it was like a 3-foot chain link or 4-foot chain link fence. So it wasn't, and I think it was a gate. So you went through the gate, and the gate might have been open.
I promise you,
also.
I'm not climbing a fence. Like unless somebody's
The gate was
chasing me,
open.
I'm not climbing a fence.
And that was when I got nervous. That's when I said to you, "Whatever, I'm not doing that." And just for the record, when somebody comes out that back door after your ass, I'm leaving.
Okay,
That was my
probably-
response.
It was
Because you're crazy.
a little.
You should go in somebody else's backyard, you loon.
I would have just said the same.
My
My grandma. Exactly.
My grandma lived there, she said.
Anyway,
Anyways, you do a lot of crazy things like that I'm like, I don't know why I continue to be a
I'm not
party
afraid
to
of that
them.
kind of stuff.
I know. The time you climbed in that window in that back
We've
of
already told that
house.
story.
I don't know if we have or not.
I think we
but
have.
Nut.
I've climbed through a lot of windows. I've shimmied other people through windows too.
It's true.
Not breaking and entering if it's open.
It's true.
It's just entering.
Trespassing. That's what they call it. Trespassing.
Yeah, but the penalty is not as great as long as you're not breaking.
Oh, I see. That's funny. Yeah. So
you have-
gearing up for
Yeah,
what?
go ahead. I was going to say you got some exciting news coming up. Your house?
I don't know why that's exciting, but
It's not exciting?
no, I don't know. I'm not excited by it. No,
Really?
I don't know why.
Chad's house is
I'm not
going
sad
live
about
tomorrow.
it either. I'm indifferent to it.
Okay.
Like it just is another house that I'm listing at this point. I think, which is
Not how it's going to pan out, but we'll go with that.
I know that was very judgmental, but I think that
I've sold a lot of houses of yours with you,
I know.
and you do get a little.
The first one was really bad, but I'm thinking these last two, like I've sold a house and bought a house in the last 30 to 60 days twice, and I don't think I was that bad.
No, but your last house you bought wasn't a multiple offer, so that was pretty chill on that part.
This one that I just bought, yes, it was.
It was? Mm-hmm. Oh, was it really?
Yeah, 3. I mean, there weren't 20. There was 3, but yeah, it was multiple.
Oh
offer.
yeah, that was the first day on the market, wasn't it? I forgot. You did. Well, you did really good.
Yeah,
You were calm.
I know.
I didn't give you any credit for that. Sorry.
No, you're sitting here bashing me for shit that I'm not even
I did
doing.
not bash you. How did I bash you?
You said Chad gets a little bit crazy.
In the past.
I have
Apparently,
crazy in the
apparently you don't do that anymore.
past. But
So
let
I
me tell you
stand
something
corrected.
About Chad, I learn very quickly.
That is true. You
So
do.
I
That's
make
true.
mistakes
I don't know
once.
about quickly,
Okay, some things
but
I
you
learn
do
faster
learn
than others.
Okay,
But
fair.
depends on how much emotion there is to control at the time and how
Okay.
fast I can master that skill.
Fair.
I'm not good at that. Controlling. Oh, actually, I'm really good at controlling my own emotions. I'm just not good at controlling my reaction to other people's emotions.
There you go. Right. You take on the energy.
I do. Very much so.
Remember our friend Gina Pirro taught us that. I'm aware of the energy, and it's not mine.
I love Gina Pirro. She was so sweet. She's one of the sweetest people. She's a life coach. You can look her up online. We should have her on sometime.
We should. She would do that.
She's a ton of fun.
Taught us so much.
And she'd be okay with me saying this, but she's very mystical with her phrasing of things. So I struggled with it a lot because it's
You
very...
did. And she loved that you struggled
Right,
with it.
that's
Which
what
was,
I'm saying. Like, I don't think she'd be even mad that I said it.
Right, because she appreciated that you could voice it.
Right, the way she phrases things is very feely and touchy and not to the point, which is not how I typically think about things or speak or act or process. So
I would never describe her stuff as that, but I get it. I get why you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we should.
That's
We're
funny.
gonna. Okay, Gina Pirro, we're calling you.
If you're watching this,
and we're sure you are.
you'll be on our podcast someday
That's
with us.
right. Awesome.
We would love that.
So-
She'd be good for the agents too.
Yes, for sure.
We used her at she was
The dance studio.
for a long time, yeah. For the girls that were having
Everybody should have a life
Drama.
coach.
agree. I don't know about a life coach. Everybody should have a coach of some sort.
A coach.
Something that you struggle with or that you're working on at the time or whatever.
Sure.
But I guess if you're struggling with life, you should have a life coach. I also think everybody should have a therapist, but
That's a different podcast.
what do I know? Right? What are we talking about today, DM?
Let's see what's going on.
Topic.
What's going? You know what? I've had an interesting. Well, I'll say we have had an interesting last couple of interactions with other agents. So I thought maybe we talk about that. So I don't know how many out of a couple hundred deals.
Talking about interactions with agents. I guess go ahead and you're getting ready to explain. My brain's going like, what kind of interactions?
Okay, yeah,
You're talking
I
about
am.
negotiating. You're talking about
No, in general. So what we do as realtors, we represent our clients, and we're always dealing with another realtor who's representing their client. But the
Most
beauty
of the time.
most of the time,
Right.
majority of the time, and most of the time, that interaction is we're both looking for the win-win.
Yeah.
You're looking to take care of your client. I'm looking to take care of mine. We're
Yeah.
both trying to keep it legal. We're working through the contract, but we're looking for the win-win. So I don't know. I would say
win-win.
Meaning
I don't
your
even
client-
know that you do. I would call it a win-win. We're both looking for a win, but understand that it's not. It's on behalf of somebody else.
correct.
Right.
But we're both looking to take care of our client. We are not attorneys where one's a plaintiff and one's the defendant.
Right.
So it's a little bit different there. So anyway, I say,
There's no animosity in what we do.
shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be. Right.
And so just ironically, we've had two situations recently where you go, what the?
Uh-huh.
So anyway, that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have one that I can tell the story about, but you
Sure.
go.
No, you go.
Tell yours first.
You go.
Oh, I just think that and this is going to sound. I'm trying to come up with a way to tell the story that isn't mean
And
or
we also
rude.
need to do the dragnet disclaimer. The names and places have been changed to protect
Yeah.
the innocent.
I'm not even going to say
Okay.
names. So, but it just
Or
is,
places.
Agents need to remember that you are talking to another agent, regardless of how long that agent has been licensed or how many transactions that agent has done or where they work or anything really. They're your equal when you're talking to them.
They're a professional. Right.
They're your colleague.
Exactly.
They are not your employee.
Right.
So stop telling them what to do.
Right. Right.
If you need something, ask for
Right.
it kindly.
Right. I think that was, that's kind of where I was going
I
with
keep
this.
getting this one. So there was a contract that was written, and there was a mistake made on it, and it was not.
It happens.
It happens all the time, right? So it wasn't even a big mistake. It's a checkbox whether the home warranty is being provided or is not being provided by the seller. And the seller's not providing a home warranty. We're all on the same page. We know that. it needs to go in the contract before we close, just to clarify, this is what's happening, so forth and so on. And so buyer's agent wrote the contract and sent it over with that I'm calling a clerical error, which happens often. And the listing agent accepted the offer as it was written, which is fine. So I'm going to come back to that point. But
Okay.
accepted the offer as it was written, sent it back. A couple days later, I guess they had sent it into their compliance department. Their compliance department checked it and said, we need an amendment to clarify whether the seller is providing a home warranty or not, because there was no box checked on that particular line. So the listing agent sends an email to the buyer's agent and says, my compliance department needs this amendment, requires this amendment, write it and send it to me. Like, it was that.
Right. Oh, I was copied.
Yeah. It was that blunt and blatant. And I wanted to tell the buyer's agent to say back.
Oh, I know, because you tell me. So how this goes down is Chad's desk is here, mine is here. I hear what we want to say,
right,
and then we say what we have to say.
I wanted to say to the listing agent back, your compliance department is the one requesting it. Write the damn thing yourself.
Yeah, and you had more words than that, but
I'm sure I did.
That was a very good.
But the whole point is your office is asking for something. You're perfectly capable, just as capable as I am, of doing an amendment. And again,
All in how it was served
the
up.
amendment needs to be done.
Would you mind?
Yes.
Could you
Hey,
possibly?
do you have time to do this?
I could. Yeah.
So
It's just a please and a thank you.
right. And don't tell me what to do. Like,
no. And I saw.
I don't work for you.
And I saw follow-ups
Right. So
at 2:30 in the morning.
So then the buyer's agent, the contract was also written personally and in the client's personal name. And so the client called in their initial conversation and they wanted to actually close in their trust. They have a living trust. So they wanted to put the house into the living trust on close. And so in order to facilitate that, we also have to do an amendment. So the listing agent had requested that clarification on the home warranty, and I responded. I'm breaking the bank. This is my deal I'm talking about right now. I responded and I said, "Oh yeah, I noticed that too," noting the that the home warranty was missed in the contract. Also, FYI, our client wants to close in their trust, so we're going to have to put that in writing to notify the seller that they're going to be closing in the trust name. So once I get the trust approved by the lender and by the title company, I'll just do one amendment. And in that email back, I wrote, we're aware that the seller is not providing a home warranty. So now I have just in writing clarified what you're wanting the amendment to clarify. And yes, the paperwork still needs to be buttoned up and official, but it's now in writing from me in an email that we're aware as the buyer side that the seller is not going to do it, and it's on my list to do prior to close. I'm just going to wait until I have the further information so that we don't have to send our client 16 different amendments to sign, because that's very confusing for a client, right?
Right.
And so I sent that back.
And everybody. I mean, if we're being honest.
Right. Everybody.
Right.
I mean, it is. It's when you have a contract and there's 20 amendments to it, and you got to track down the time and, so anyways. So we went about doing that. They had to get the paperwork from the lawyer. They had to get it over to the lender. So it took like Took 4 or 5 days to get everything approved. And then it was Thanksgiving. And I didn't feel like writing an amendment on Thanksgiving or Black Friday because it's not pressing. It's not time sensitive. Like there's no, has to be done before close. We still have 30 days before we close.
Right.
Like I don't need to do this right this second. So literally on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, I'm getting email after text. I think I got 6 of them within 72 hours.
Rude.
All rude, telling me to do shit.
I mean, I think one of them actually said, "I don't know what your problem is." I mean, that
was rude.
Yeah.
And I controlled myself very well because those of you that are watching this that know me, I wanted to absolutely and utterly let loose, but because I'm representing my client, I can't.
Exactly.
And it's like, but you know, and I probably still could, but it's just stop.
But
Why?
that is rare, which is what
It is rare.
my point was. Yeah, was that's rare, but we did have that.
Yeah,
And then we had the
I
one
was
that
like, oh, I can't. I'm gonna lose my shit.
We
I
had-
wanted to go through the phone.
I know you did. I would see the emails because I get copied, and I would be like, "Oh no, I'm gonna be bailing him out of jail for sure on this one."
I
Real
don't
estate
tell.
jail.
I mean, and you know, I like to be, and that's the thing. Like you were saying, it's the serving it up. Like you explain what you mean by that, because I like to be direct.
Right. No,
So,
you
like,
do. Right.
I have
you
a
don't like the
tendency
pretty
to
words.
tell other
Right.
people what to do by accident. It's not what I mean, but I
Right.
get it. Like, so it's that, like I
it's
worked very hard to not do that.
We think it's a generational thing. Maybe it's a personality thing, but it's you just want to say what you need to say and not put the nice, pretty words in it all the time. And I just think that please and hey, if you don't mind, or hey, this isn't a big deal, and then say it rather than where is it?
Yeah, so I'm not even sure that is it necessarily for me. It's the command.
Right, but that's because
Don't
the
write
pretty words
things
aren't in
a
there.
command, but I can still be direct without writing a command. So, like, if I needed an amendment, I would say, this amendment needs to be done, comma, do you want to start it? Question mark. Like, that's direct. Some people would call me an asshole for saying
I would make
things
that a little bit
way,
nicer than,
but
right.
nowhere in that did I tell you what to do.
That's true. No, it's true. It's true.
I can't, I just, like...
So,
anyways, what was the other situation?
So the other one was we have a listing and getting an offer, and the other agent thinks he's going to bully me, and I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, so I have all the things going on in my head.
This is the one area where, as an agent, you're negotiating. That's what you're doing right now in this interaction, and so yeah.
Yeah. So.
Saying like there's written rules for it.
No. So he's presenting an offer, which was significantly less than the list price.
Right.
And so, I have that conversation with my sellers all the time. We could get prices that are lower. It's just a negotiation. No need to be insulted. We get the choices. Once we get the offer, take it, leave it, negotiate it. So we get the offer. It's significantly less. Our seller counters the offer. And with that starts this barrage of text messages from this other agent telling me what to tell my client. And so, I do
you have to give examples, because he's not telling you, right? Like, I clarify for me, because I just want to make sure. When you said that, I heard you say he's telling you like what his buyer wants to say to the seller.
Okay, no,
that is not
right.
what was going on.
No, he says, I don't know what you're thinking. The market's bad. He's never going to sell it. He's going to have to come down on his price. What's he want to keep it till spring?
And so, I quote, like, those are the, yes.
I have my own coaching and I do my own work. And so, I read the book, Let Them, by Mel Robbins. Yeah. And so it's like, okay.
It's a great book.
It's an awesome book. It's awesome for me because that is something that I work on, that I don't need to tell him back to stop telling me. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of let it go. And so then he comes back with, well, what does he want? And it's just always aggressive. And so we tried to have a phone call, but he doesn't want to talk on the phone. He only wants to text. So that's fine. I'll text. Worried I'm reading into it. So anyway, he keeps telling me. So we get within $3,000 of each other. Mm-hmm. They've come up a tiny bit. We've come down a tiny bit. We're within $3,000. And so he says, I don't know what your seller's problem is. It's $3,000. So I'm like, so I sent back ditto with a winky face. I mean,
like, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know what your buyer's problem is. It's $3,000.
So, I've talked to my seller and I message back to him and I say, thank you, but we're going to pass. So he says, well, what do we need to do? And he's not going to let it go. And I said, that's it for my seller. That's our counter offer. That's what he wants. If you can't do that, let's just
go find something else to buy.
Let's just, we'll call it a day. So he says, well, we want the furniture. And I said, okay. So he wants to do this all by texting. So I'm like, okay, send it to me. So we're $3,000 difference. And the seller says, we're not doing it. He comes back with, he'll raise it $1,000 more, but now he wants all the furniture in the house.
Which is
like $10,000 worth of furniture. So
it's
like
a 2-bedroom, 2-bath,
gorgeous furniture,
1,200 square foot condo.
And then he proceeds, and I have the text because I don't delete any text ever. And he just going on about I don't know what your seller's thinking and what he want to move all that stuff, and it's going to be winter, and now he's going to pay HOA fees.
Do you think that maybe he was like trying to like?
No, because I'm actually being nicer because I don't want to say all the things he said. No, there were names.
Oh.
I mean, not bad names, but
I just like I'm me. I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt to everybody, which is but
I'm a benefit of the doubt giver.
Yeah, even that situation I had, I would never say anything to that lady. I know what I want to say, but
it's not common in our industry.
No.
So when it happens, you're like
weird.
taken aback. So
when I got hung up on the one time too, I'll tell that story after you're done. You just jogged my memory. Anyways.
I know. I'm trying to remember why you got the call because I feel like I had the call and then you were going to help. No, but I have a solution.
I probably should have been hung up on, but what?
So, I was big into emojis. I would always send the big eyeball emoji or the looking through your finger, when they say something. So I've decided I'm going to start doing little clips of music. Because what I wanted to send back to that guy was, why are you so mad? You need to calm down. And wouldn't that be cute?
Taylor.
Yeah.
Send him a
I was never
Taylor.
a Swiftie. I'm kind of a Swiftie now. But anybody, there's all kinds of songs.
Yeah.
So we should figure out a way to do that.
You can do that easily. Because
I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of the emojis, and I thought, that'd be kind of fun.
No, I got hung up on because the house was under contract. The contract was contingent on an FHA loan and a first-time home buyer program. And the buyer for, I'm trying to remember the story, the buyer, for whatever reason, don't remember why, went past their commitment deadline, their loan commitment deadline on their loan before they ordered the appraisal. They were waiting on something else. I can't remember.
Not our buyer.
It was not our buyer. We were the seller's agent.
Got it. I remember. Okay.
They were waiting on something else and didn't order the appraisal until a couple of days before loan commitment. And I didn't follow up. Loan contingency is a buyer's contingency. If you go past it, worst case scenario, seller's keeping the earnest money. Why would I follow up on that, right? If it's not my, contingency. Now, I'm not going to obstruct it if you call me and whatever, but heard nothing. So the appraisal gets scheduled for 3 days after loan commitment deadline, which we did, approve the showing, come on in, have at it, still have to do an appraisal, don't care whether you come in and do an appraisal or not, because I want the buyer to get the loan. Hopefully, I thought to myself, hopefully it appraises, because that's going to be an awkward conversation. Well, it didn't.
Right.
And not only did it not appraise, but at the same time, something fell through. The buyer was in bankruptcy. And the lender disapproved the bankruptcy, which was unforeseen. So we didn't we thought it was going to get approved or whatever. That's what they were waiting on to order the appraisal. Now that it's all coming back to me. But so the buyer's agent calls me when the loan gets denied and says, the loan got denied. I'm going to send you over a mutual release. And I said, oh, that sucks. Okay, send it over. Well, he sends it over, and on the mutual release, it says that the earnest money is going to go back to the buyer.
No, it's not.
So I called him, and I said, I think you might have made a mistake on this mutual release. Your loan commitment deadline was such and such a date. Clearly, today is past that date, and you're sending me a release because your buyer's loan got denied with the denial letter. I said, the seller's keeping the earnest money because you're outside of your contingency. that man mother effed me up one side, down
Right.
the other, called me everything but a good Christian
I remember.
because I was going to take the earnest money from this poor lady who had filed bankruptcy and had 3 kids
Which
and all of that. And I'm like,
was his
okay,
fault.
I'm
It was
like,
his contingency.
I had nothing to do with it,
Right.
first of all.
Right. You didn't write the
I didn't
contract
do the
either.
appraisal. I didn't pick the contingency
You
date.
didn't make the rules.
I didn't have the buyer with the bankruptcy.
Nope.
None of that was me. Why are you screaming at me? And so he screamed, literally screaming
remember.
at me. And then he goes, just off, and hangs up the phone. And I was like, I just have never even experienced anything like that. But here's the funny part is I texted him almost immediately because I wasn't even mad. I was just dumbfounded. Like I couldn't even believe that a professional would be screaming at me like that. And I'm like, I texted him and I said, I'm not entirely sure why you're angry with me about this situation. I didn't really have much to do with it, but do you want me to write up the new release or do you want to write it up? And I just moved past it. Like, 'cause
Right.
it's like, I don't need to have my day in court. I'm not that person.
No.
So he called me like 25 minutes later and apologized, which was very nice of
Yeah.
him. And he's like, I didn't even realize it. And then when he realized it and he realized it was his fault, he panicked.
Of course.
And I was on the phone with him. So then he's screaming at me
happens.
and it's
Yeah.
like, so I was like, it's all right. No big deal. I get it. I made mistakes that I've
Yep.
had to shell out money for. And
Right.
like, again, that was stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
so mad at myself for
Right.
doing that, but I'm not going to yell at somebody else about it. It's my fault.
There's a reason we have the contingencies, and there's a reason we put up some earnest money.
Yeah. He's like, you're really not going to release the earnest money? And I'm like, I mean, I don't get to choose.
Do you?
I said, I'll ask my seller if she's willing to do that,
Right.
but I can't imagine why she would be.
I was going to say we have had that happen a lot, where they actually come back and say, "Well, we know, but can we please have our earnest money back?" Now, why would we tell our client? Why would we advise our client to
Exactly.
give that back? Like, these are the rules. We all knew the rules on how to play.
Unless there was some sort of extenuating
The
circumstance.
only time we had the one where the buyer died and
that was awful.
and
But
that
the seller
wouldn't-
still
he-
kept the
he
earnest
did.
money.
He
And
still
it
had to
was-
go back on the market. He still lost time.
He
But
did.
that one was hard to tell somebody that they couldn't have that back. But
Sure. I mean, it was our kids, so they didn't really care at the end of the day.
Probably
but
not.
The kids had to sign the release, and here we are talking about death again.
it all comes back. We're all gonna die.
Full circle. Oh, that's funny.
We out of time.
I just don't understand. We are running out of time. Why people have to do that, which leads me to my motivational quote that I just found because I don't ever know what we're going to talk about typically, so sometimes it's hard, but this was a good one, I thought. And it's kindness is more important than wisdom. And the recognition of that fact is the beginning of wisdom. Isn't that a good one?
That's good.
Like, I just felt like
yeah.
that applied. Like,
It does.
be kind. Doesn't matter how smart you are
Right.
or how much you've been through
Yeah.
or that it's more than the other person.
Right.
Everybody's got their own battles and their own demons.
Absolutely. No matter what's happening, we can all be nice.
Ellen
This was almost
DeGeneres
our quote
says,
last time,
be
though.
kind.
It was almost the same as our last time when it cost nothing to be nice.
That's true, but that was a joke.
I
But
know.
it's true. No, it doesn't cost anything to be nice, so that is true. But also doesn't cost anything to be an asshole.
And that's how we're going to end.
Be kind.
Peace out.
People. Be kind.